Okay, so we're starting the recording for the texturing tutorial, and I am actually going to open up Blender first of all things, because I want to just double check to make sure that the model has got everything I expect it to have
Oh,
to
it's
be
not
ready for texturing.
triangulated. That's the one thing I forgot to do.
No, don't worry about that. Triangulation is something that happens automatically when you import it into Object Builder anyway. So, and in fact, it does the same thing in Substance Painter. It triangulates it, if I recall correctly.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'm just going to open up this plastic container, which is excellent. Yep, good. You haven't put too much detail in it. This is perfect because we can get a lot of the detail out of the face orientation, out of the textures. So what have we got here? 500 triangles. That's decent. Let's have a look at the detail in here just to be sure. Yep, that looks fine. Yep, that sounds good to me. That bottom half will probably get all, to be honest, just so that it doesn't have to work things out, because sometimes when it triangulates it gets a bit confused. So I'll do it here. There you go. That's fine. I think everything's good. You put sharp edges on it. All the faces are facing the right way around, which is why they're all blue, which is perfect. It's unwrapped pretty nicely. Yep, it's got nice spacing. Brilliant. We are in the clear for texturing now. So I just triangulated the bottom, but it probably wouldn't make a massive difference. Where is it? Plasteel container, selected objects. Yes. Yeah, apply transform because why not? Cool. Alright, well now that's ready, I'll get rid of that. And now for substance. So, when you start texturing, you do obviously file new. And what I might have to do is track down a template for you for. Oh no, it's not a template. That'll be a texture export. That's separate. That's a separate thing. I'll see if I can export that at the end of this tutorial, but I'll find out soon. Anyway, so the best thing to pick is non-PBR specular glossiness, because um, specular glossiness maps are what Armor uses technically. Specular glossiness has been around for many, many years, and it's only in the last 10 years have we started to veer away from specular glossiness to what they call PBR, which is physically based rendering materials. So we don't do, with modern games, they do metallic roughness textures mainly. These are like supporting. So what specular and glossiness are, what might be the question there, is uh, what what properties are you giving that material? The specular is like the shininess, the reflectivity. So the more specular you make it, kind of, I guess, the more metallic, and the more glossy you make it, the more, I guess, plasticky. But the how specular and gloss is, it's very generalized. It does it right across the surface, which is a bit too bland, So they introduce roughness and metalness, which has lots of imperfections and patterns and things, which is what real life materials like galvanized steel, aluminium, and all these kinds of metals and woods and plastics and all sorts of things have lots of imperfections in them, and leather and all sorts of shit like that. Anyways, we can still go really far with specular glossiness, and this is the one we're interested in because this is what's going to work for us. So, first things first, after selecting that, you go to the File button. I think it'll probably be the same in your version that you'll get, and then you go to the. Where's the FBX gone? Am I going brain dead? It's a plasteel container, right? Where is it? Oh, have you put yourself in the wrong order? Okay, apparently you put yourself in the. Anyways, um, and then when it says document resolution, so just to explain, textures across all games engines and video games work in powers of 2. What that means is all the textures are square. So you'll have what 1024 means 1024 pixels going horizontally by 1024 pixels going vertically, and that is your squared texture. And they do them in sizes of, in this 128, 256, 512, 1024, 248 and 4096. That's like saying like a 512, a 1K, a 2K texture, a 4K texture. Now you know what the meaning is behind that. And it's important that it's a power of 2. It has to be that size, so that engines can read it efficiently. And a lot of game engines, I think even including Arma, will actually not accept it if it's not precisely that many pixels. It'll say this is a non-square texture and is not suitable. There are some exemptions in Arma where you can have an odd-shaped image that is non-square, but I think it prefers it if it's like a 16:9, a 16:10 ratio kind of image scale. And to explain that just quickly, sorry, it's just a bit important. It gives you a bit of background knowledge and you can read up about it. Yeah, it's the aspect ratio. That's what I wanted. That was the word I was looking for. Yeah, sometimes Arma can accept stuff like this, so long as it's within the correct aspect ratio, to say that whatever the image size is, it could be absolutely giant or really small, but the smallest it would be 16 pixels by 9. So 16 horizontal by 9 going up, and it would be happy with that image. And if you times that by 100, it would still be happy, so long as it's 1600 and 900, then it would still be happy, and so on. But yes, for texturing, let's keep it square. So for a plasteel object, so to give you some idea about how big the texture should be, 4K textures I would recommend. That's the highest you can go in Arma. You can't do 8K textures. I have worked out a way to fake an 8K texture to trick the engine a little bit. I'm just like kind of puzzling 4K textures together, but that's just a side thing. You don't need to worry about that. Character models, as you've seen with the Arma textures for the clone Arma, they split them into 2 halves, the top half and the lower half, and they are 2K in size, 2048. So you can have a bit of an idea there about how much detail you can go. So now this plasteel container is about, I assume, about the height of a normal person, and it's going to be replicated a lot all over the place. So generally, rule of thumb is, we could probably do well with a 1024 texture for this plasteel container, because it's a generic static object. It's not an interactable item of interest per se. The engine itself will compress the textures to smaller for people who have crap PCs. It will make the texture resolution, it will compress it automatically, which is great. But whenever you're working with textures, I always recommend work to the next level above that. So if we want a 1024 texture as the final result, I recommend working in 2K, one grade higher, because compressing an image it's much easier to compress an image down a size than it is to inflate it up a size. So if there's ever a reason for us to have the texture at 2K, we've got it ready to go at 2K, and we're not going to lose any detail. Because when you stretch a texture to be double its size, Photoshop or whatever will try and fill in pixel detail, and it'll become blurry and crap like that. But for our purposes, we're going to do 2K, I would say. Change that to OpenGL, which I believe makes it rely more on your graphics card, if I've got that correctly in my mind. And then tick the box that will say compute tangent space per fragment. and make sure that the auto unwrap is unchecked, because I think when you first open Substance, it keeps it checked, which is not good because you've already unwrapped it in Blender. You don't want it to fuck it up for you. So uncheck that, and I think it'll have like import cameras, so uncheck that as well. I think everything else it probably would be okay. There's nothing else in here it should be ticked, but yeah, there we go. So once you select the FBX, put all the settings, hit OK, and you'll have your object. So to navigate your Substance Painter scene, you've got your viewports here. It's a bit like a double viewport we've got going on here. The left viewport obviously is the 3D view, whilst the right is the 2D. What's cool is that you can actually texture in either or. You can switch from one to the other on the fly. And like if I drew like a smiley face on here, the smiley face would appear on the plasteel drum, and if I paint on the 3D, it would appear on the 2D. So it's pretty cool like that. It's quite intuitive. So, oh, have you got enough spacing here? Okay. Yeah, we'll see. It should be okay. If there's not enough spacing here, you might have something called like a texture bleed. We'll see what happens on your model, but let's say this ring is red and this lid is yellow. You might have a little bit of the yellow coming into the red on the edge of the red ring, or a bit of the red coming into the yellow edge, because they're so close together. But it might just be far enough that it won't do that, but we'll see. If you do get a bit of texture bleed, and you'll see it'll be quite obvious on the rims of whatever your object is, you just need to go back in Blender and just space them out a little bit more. Just move them with the arrow keys after you select the faces in UV edit, and then you re-export it and bring it back in again. So first things off is navigating. So it's a bit, you'll have to switch your brain a little bit with Substance compared with Blender. Blender, you're used to the controls. Substance is not too alien, but still I think it's like holding left alt. In fact, actually it tells you all the commands when I'm holding left alt. Your version might not show that, but that's handy for you to see there. But if I do left alt and middle mouse, I'm holding both right now, that's going to pan my view. And then I think if I do, yep, that's it. I'm holding left click for a rotate, and then of course scroll wheel to zoom. So like in Blender, a combination of all three is going to help you. I think in Blender it's control or shift, I can never remember what it is, so it's slightly different. Okay, cool. So you got your viewports, you got your properties area here on your right, and then you've got your asset library here. This is where all your materials and textures that you've imported will reside in here, and these are all the layers for your materials and brush settings and all sorts of stuff like that in there. So what I think is the best first thing to do with every object that you import, this is part of why Substance Painter is always just masterclass and top tier, more than Photoshop. Photoshop, you just, when you're dealing with Photoshop, which is the old way of texturing for many years for the games industry, you're just painting on the 2D and you're like, I think this bit's the top and that one's the bottom, and you're kind of guessing, you fuck it up, oh shit, I need to paint it on here, and it was a pain, and it was been like that for so long until Substance came along. And if you want to do wear and tear and little scratched edges, you'd have to paint them in yourself and all that kind of shit. The great thing is, when we go into texture set settings, which you should have in your Substance Painter, if you don't have that window there, then what you can do, because sometimes you might accidentally cross it off, oh shit, I've lost it. Just don't worry about it, just go into window, screw off antivirus, and go into views, where is it? Texture set settings. So you can see these are all little windows, so one of them will be unchecked if you've accidentally crossed it off, and there we go, we've got it back again. So the first step to do once you've imported it is to go to texture set settings, scroll down where it says mesh maps, and I don't believe this has changed from any of the versions, so it'll be this big button that says bake mesh maps. You hit that, it'll take you to another window. First thing you're going to do is change the output size to the same size as the document, which is 2048. You check the use low poly mesh as a high poly mesh. This is where if we had like if if you did a plasteel container that had like all the buttons, screws, bolts, dents, any kind of extra detail that you've modeled, that's fine you can do. So there's two ways you can do this. You can either model that detail in Blender and bring that in here as the high poly mesh, so you've got the low poly one, which is the one we're working with. This is what will be used in the game, and then we'll have the high poly one, which will probably be like 50,000 polys or something, and you can like import it by pressing this, and you go to like plasteel container high poly or something like that, and you hit open. And what it will do is that it will look at the high, look at the low, and it will do what you may have heard of is bake the textures, the high resolution textures. So it will project the buttons, the dents, the scratches, all the stuff that you've built, you modeled, and it will project that detail onto the low poly, and it will give an illusionary effect that it has more detail than it actually does. That's been the traditional way to do it for many years. People still do it. There's some advantages to doing it. I personally don't do it anymore. I don't think there's any point. I can get some great detail without having to do that, and just do a low poly and just worry about that. It's much easier for me. And for the case of this example, we're going to do just the low poly mesh. So that's why I'm ticking the box. Use the low poly mesh as the high poly mesh, because we don't have one. And then we just hit the big blue button that says bake. Depending on the speed of your PC, it's going to go through a couple of calculations. And what it's doing here, it's working out, as you can see, different things like the normal, world space stuff, ambient occlusion, curvature. These are all the supporting maps that tell the software, okay, this is where the rim of my plasteel container is. Make sure that there's wear and tear on that edge, and it by these calculations it knows where there should be the most wear, where there should be scratches, where there's a flat surface, where's it rounded, all that kind of stuff. So it makes your texturing a shit ton easier, and I can even show you the difference with it. Yeah, I'll do that now actually. So I've crossed that off, we've gone back to here, and you might see some subtle changes. It might not be very obvious, but it'll give some like subtle shadowing, and it just makes the object just look a bit better now, just by doing that baking. So we've got our layers here. If you've used Photoshop, layers work. If you haven't, I'll just explain that layers are in priority order. So whatever layer is at the top of your list in your layers is going to take priority over everything underneath it. So positioning what layer you want to be first is important. So obviously you'll probably put the bottom layer to be yellow metal, for example, and then a layer above that you might put dents, and then a layer above that you might put like painted text. Then a layer above that you might put scratches, because you want the text to look scratched. So you need to make sure that the scratches layer sits above the text. Otherwise the text will sit above the scratches, and you won't get the effect of the scratches over the text, and it will look a bit funny. But it's all about playing around. There's no wrong way to do it particularly. It just requires a bit of a mess around. First thing we'll do is we're going to apply my favourite material, which I believe Substance Painter version that you'll have will have this. So just type in the you press it crashed on me. Substance Painter is a heavy software, so it will on occasion crash. What I should have done really was, after I baked, I should have just hit save. Yeah, that's fine. It's completely normal for it to crash because it's just heavy. I would say about 30% of the time that I've used Substance, it'll just, 30's a bit high. Let's say 20% of the time it's been, it crashes on me for any reason, probably a memory leak or whatever. So I'm going to do the same settings again. Tick, we're done. Auto unwrap. I'm going to save this. And by the way, substance files, if you see them going to like 1 or 2 gigabytes in size, that's very normal. That's okay. If you've got a substance file of 50 gigs, then there's something really wrong with your model. That shouldn't do that. But about 1 gigabyte in size sounds about right. It can do that sometimes. If it takes up space, stick it on the Google Drive or delete it when you're done. But I do recommend keeping a hold of the source file so that you can quickly generate different textures with extremely minimal effort. It's always good to keep the source file, or this SPP file is what it's called. I'm going to stick it in my downloads, not in my props area. Yeah, we'll have to bake this again. Let me just zoom out on here. Let's bake again. Yeah, you used to have to do this manually in Blender and in Maya and Max and all that kind of shit, all these other softwares, and it'd be a pain in the ass to set up, but Substance makes it a lot easier. You just hit the button and away it goes. It doesn't require, you used to have to set up like a light source, and it was a pain in the butt when you had to bake back in the old days. It's just annoying. Just put me right off baking, to be honest. Alright, let's do Control S to save, just so that I don't have to, doesn't crash again. So I didn't. Oh, interesting. Ooh. Okay. Interesting. It crashed at exactly the same point. That's very strange. I haven't had that happen to me, like the exact same thing like that. That's really weird. Why did it do that? Do I have anything open that I shouldn't? It's memory intensive? I'll get rid of Chrome just in case, but maybe it doesn't like it when I'm recording at the same time. Anyway, so the first thing to... Wow! So when you click off it, it kills it. Whoa! That's a weird bug. They're gonna have to patch that out. That must have just happened with one of their updates. So this is unlikely to happen to you. I don't think this is gonna happen to you. That must be a bug. They must have done something in their last update. That's freaking weird. Anyways, assuming we can fight through this and get it to work, you're going to go. You've got a couple of things here. You've got effects, mask layer, fill layer, and preset layer. All we're going to do is just do preset layer. Oh fuck. We're going to hit that, which is I just clicked it quickly so it wouldn't crash. Although it is looking not very promising right now. Hello? Did I not click on you? Click. Oh, you have to, oh yeah, they changed it that you can't do it. Oh yeah, I forgot they did that weird thing that they stopped letting me do that. So basically what's listed in the presets, which are smart materials, you can actually find them in this assets list. It doesn't matter whether you click on it there or here, but in my case it can only find it here, which is a bit fucking annoying. So I just searched for it in here, and then I filtered by smart material, which is what you want, because smart materials are what going to give you, I'm going to click and drag this as my favorite material of all. I use it for 60-70% of my models. I always start with this because it's just, for me, I find it great. Steel painted chip dirty, drag and drop onto there. And as you can see, what it's done, because we did the baking, it's understood, right, oh, this is like a little engraved indented spot. Let's make all the dirt be built up there. So you don't have to do that. It knows to do that. And same on the rims, on the edges of the indent in here, and even on the rim of your object, it will actually put like a bit of scratching on it there. So that's really cool, and that's why it's freaking amazing. Now if I do it without the supporting textures, if I get rid of them, you'll see very quickly how it'll just fall apart and look terrible, because it just doesn't know where to calculate all this stuff. But as soon as you hit bake, again, it will revert back to the nice effect that we had here. Um, so already, just with that one material, we're already far beyond, far beyond zero right now. We're at a really good point. So each, so when you've got, you always start with like an empty material. To be honest, I'll get rid of that because I don't need it. It's not doing anything for us. But there's loads of other materials here. I mean, have a play, have a browse. There's some cool ones. There's like steel tank painted that gives like a different effect. Worn painted here, so it gives another effect there. There's loads of them. You might have a bit less choice than what I have on mine side, um, but they all have got different like properties and things. It's worth having a play around. And as you could see, they were all appearing here on the layers list, and you can see how I've just dragged and dropped this scraped green, and because it's beneath this layer, it's obviously at a lower priority, so of course it's not going to show. So if I want it to show again, I just click and hold and drag it up to the top. Make sure that you've got the kind of the white line that's appearing here. Don't do the box because that means I'm going to put it inside that folder, and I don't want to do that. I want to put it above it. So now it's a higher priority. It's going to show, and the other one will disappear. With our layers, you've got this little eyeball icon that just hides your layers. So if you want to hide a layer to see something underneath, you can do that, or keep layers there if you want different patterns of stuff. It's kind of handy. For our purposes, I don't need that. I want the other one. I want this one. When you're looking at materials, think about their texture and their pattern. Don't worry about the color. You can adjust the color to anything you like. It's about the feel of it. You know, don't take this blue metal at face value. You can change that yellow and green and whatever the fuck you want it to be. It's about the kind of pattern that you get from it. Oh, I like the very subtle edging to it or whatever. Um, so this steel painted chip dirty that we've got here is comprised of many layers within this folder. So to open the folder is the folder icon. You can see all the layers that are contained to make that material work. You've got your metal layer, which is what's sitting underneath, your paint layer, your rust, and then you've put a sharpen layer on here, I think, to make the rust a bit more detailed and a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? Well, sharp, clearly, but there's a better word for it for Photoshop. Grained, or a bit more noise. That's the word I'm looking for. Anyways, so I'm just hiding all the layers, but you know, yeah, just to show each one. But as you can see, a combination of all these makes what you've got there. Now, what you might want to do is, if we click the metal layer, we've got our properties area. You can scroll down in here, and you've got all these different things. You've got diffuse here. Diffuse in games terminology is another word for color. Don't know why it's called diffuse. Something to do with rendering many years ago, probably since Toy Story, the original Toy Story film. I think it's got something to do with that. But yeah, it just means base color, and you can see the word uniform color underneath it. You can either do like a color pick, so if you want to find precisely a color from something, so let's say, oh, I like the Discord, I like your yellow on the Discord. I could do this, drag it to one side, get the eyedropper. Oh shit, I need to bring this to one side like that. Hang on. And then bring your box up here so it actually lets me get the eyedropper. Let's say I like the yellow of your thing. I can actually eyedropper over any image, over anything. So if I want your yellow, boom. So now I've got like a yellow metal underneath kind of thing if I want. I think for metal though we probably want something grey to make sense. And then we can use your then if we go to the paint layer, which is above it, which is what's making up most of the color, because it's like a layer of paint on a barrel. I'm going to get the eyedropper tool and use your yellow, for example. And this is what I mean by having the source file, because you can just I can click that bar, I can adjust the yellow, I can do whatever the frick I want, and save that as a new texture, and it's retained all the details. So suddenly we can have 10 plasteel barrels with 10 different colors with zero effort. You just literally change the color, save out new texture, change the color, save new texture, again, 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 and again, and it just makes your just everything much easier. Um, so let's go back to. Oh, I want to use your yellow for the example. Um, so there we go. So that's the paint layer. Next is rust. So if I click on rust, obviously we can change the color of the rust. I tend to go for black more than I do brown. If you really want the rust of metal or something, I'd probably go for like a reddy orange kind of color. You can kind of maybe see the effect, and it depends what material you're giving off, and obviously if you do something else, it might give off a different effect for what you want. But I mostly use black because it makes the most sense for that. It is quite grimy, but we can adjust that. So if we click this box that's next to these layers, so this is your main materials where you adjust your color and other various things in there. But to adjust the pattern, you press this. This is your mask. This is what allows for the pattern to appear. Is the best way to describe. And then I click on the mask editor, I believe, if I remember. Yep, there we go. And usually a lot of these like layers will have like loads of like sliders that you can just literally just fuck around and play with. Don't worry, you can't break anything. Just have a play with it and see what they do. So if I do texture 1, you kind of see like the density changes if I mess with this slider, whatever this is for controlling it. Texture 2 changes the other kind of dirt, so maybe I want that dirt but not the other one. You can mess about with it. If you don't like the pattern of your dirt, there's this button that says seed. If you hit random next to seed, this will just change the... Oh wow, it's not actually doing it. Normally it changes the pattern of your scratch marks and stuff. That's interesting that it's not doing it. That's weird. Well, maybe this particular material isn't set up for having a random seed. That's interesting. Another material will probably showcase it. But there we go. So if we want to... So there's a couple of settings here. We could probably reduce it here. Maybe here we can change the spread of it. And you can just kind of work out just by playing. So this is general grime now, so now it looks all dirty. So probably if I change world's face normal to... Yeah, there you go. Make it thick on the edge. So make like a really... This is not a proper... I mean, I'm not really using a proper reference for a plasteel barrel. To be honest, I should probably use... this one will probably be more suitable, to be honest, because it's a little bit more reflective. I'm rotating the light by holding left shift and right control to achieve that effect. But again, opening the material, and you can see all the layers that make up on it. I'm going to do like I say, I tend to do like a grey metal because most metal is going to be grey. And then back to the yellow, I'll just fucking do the similar yellow that we had before. Then dirt, let's do it in black. And then let's go into here. Maybe this has it. Yeah, you can see kind of different patterns. If I press, you can hide and unhide different layers. So if you only want a certain kind of dirt but not another kind, then you can hide one layer or get rid of it. Hopefully there's a seed for this one. Nope, this one doesn't have one. Oh, that's a crying shame. Never mind. But you can have a little bit of a play to change the density of your dirt to make it really dirty. Or generally what you want to do is to make... Nothing should be perfectly clean in real life. It's not. You want to make it slightly dirty. If you do it too dirty, it's okay, but keep in mind that if we have duplicates of these, you can very easily see the repeated pattern of dirt. so you know it's the same objects being copied over and over, which is it's okay, but if we want it to look kind of good, we should probably just put a subtle amount so that you can't really tell too much. But it's just enough that it's it depends on how grimy you want it to be, So let's just do an average amount of grime on it. Does this one have a seed on it? This one, oh, it does. There you go. This is what seed does. There you go. That one's actually working correctly. Do you see how it's like slightly changing the pattern of the? Let's make it more obvious. It changes the pattern of the dirt, and this is purely randomized. This is a randomly generated number that just changes the pattern. So every time you click it, it's unique. So if you want 4 barrels that are dirty in different ways, or 4 containers that are dirty, you just use this layer. You save this out, hit that, save it out, hit that, save it out, hit that, save it out, and boom, you've now got 4 barrels that are dirtied in completely different ways. And that's why it's great having the power of substance and having these layers and shit. A little bit strong what I've done it there, but it should be enough. And then the sharpen layer. Actually, I should actually make it obvious here, because then can you see how the sharpen layer just sometimes you might want it blurry like that, and it looks better, but sometimes you want a little bit of noise added so it makes the image a bit sharper, or the dirt in this case a bit sharper. So there you go, there's that. So that's how we get our base material on. I probably should I'll just quickly go back in here. Before I continue, let me just do a quick save on this before it dies on us. There you go. And we're going to do a plasteel container, just because I need some inspiration. Okay, yes, it's like that. Okay, yeah. So if we're going to do that accurately, well, as you can see, we've already got a bit of dirt on it, so we're already halfway there. Let's just open this up and we'll make it, I should have made it yellow, I should have made it white if we're going to be accurate with it. And then we will, interesting, if we want to do that pattern at the top up there, because we can do these grooves and other things. I should probably full screen this so it's a bit easier to, let's do image, open a new tab, open image in new tab. There you go. So we've got some decent details in there. We've got a bit of a, looks like an interesting kind of noise pattern on it. But I think what we've got here is probably a pretty decent job already as a base material. So for the pattern, for the grey, what we could do for that, so every texture is like a culmination of many materials. So I think maybe one of these other metal ones, let's go with that one, this green one. And we're going to change that. I've opened that folder and I'm going to change it to, sometimes it's a bit hard because you have to dig around and find hide the layers until you find the one that's green. So the green color is coming from this layer, and we want grey, whatever it is, like dark grey. Now obviously we don't want the dark grey everywhere, we only want it in a specific spot. So for this, and you can double click on here and rename it and call it grey fill in or something like that, whatever makes sense to you. Gren, I'm not even fucking spelling shit properly, oh my goodness. There we go. I give up, whatever. Might give up, like Jar Jar Binks. So obviously it's dominating what we've got here. So this is where masks come in. A mask is like, how shall I describe, that's the best way. You'll see the effect now, but clicking this icon and adding a black mask will make this, will make that disappear, and it will revert to the layer that's underneath it. Now what a black mask does is that this has basically made the whole, well actually, can you actually show masks? Yes, you can. There you go. It's just completely black. So what it's saying with this black, let's call it, well, this mask, what it's saying is that anything that is colored black means that I do not want to show this material. So as soon as you start introducing white into it, which you'll see in a second, if I revert back to this drop down menu, just lets you see all the textures applied on their own, and if you want to see them all together, you just press material at the top and it combines them all into this nice effect. So with that, we've just added a black mask like this, and we've got the paintbrush already ready to go. We can actually start painting in what we're telling it with this mask is to say, right, this area that I'm painting, this is where I want the material to show through. Okay, that's what you're telling it to do. So you can control precisely. I mean, I can paint it by hand like here. I can do it in the 2D like I was mentioning earlier. If I just draw a smiley face in here, it appears on the barrel up there. If I draw it on here, the smiley face will also appear on the 2D like what I was saying earlier. Oh, my nose is itchy. Going back, there we go. Obviously doing it by hand is great and everything. As you can see, the material properties for that material is slightly different to the white one, so it feels a little bit different, which is what we want, which looks cool. But we've got a bit of a bit of a bleedy edge, if you haven't got a steady hand and it's just messy, and then if you hit the eraser tool, and you try and rub it out, and it's just a pain. So there is a neater way to do it. You can do it by brush. Sometimes it's worth doing it by brush, but if you need to be precise, what you can do is go to this button here where it says polygon fill, and you'll have these buttons change at the top, and you can actually do fill by triangle, by polygon face, or by the mesh or object technically. And what that does is that now I can just click this, and it makes a really sharp, it just colors that polygon in that material now. So you've got a really crisp, nice sharp edge. You don't need to worry about anything. Looks great. So that's a really nice way to get what you want, and I can just click as many faces as I want because it gets into this wireframe mode here. To return back to your normal view, just hit the paintbrush icon and you can kind of see the result left behind now. And already with the materials, it's really given off this nice kind of look, because it's detected that there's an edge here, so it's given it a little bit of wear and tear. This is not me painting it in, it's just done it automatically. That's why it's such a bloody time saver, Substance Painter. And then you've got these other ones here. I mean, if you do it by polyfill, and I do this, it'll color the whole thing grey because I've selected that whole object. But if you have like loads of little objects in your model, like a little lights or a panel or something, this is a good way to select it because it will be separate from the rest of it. It's easier to select by groups. It's good for weapons and armor and things like that. But yeah, I'm just doing Control Z to undo my actions now to get back to that. So already you can see that's already as crisp as that. But as you can see, again, it's a bit arduous because you have to click through each one, and if you have a complicated model, that could take a while. So there is another handy tool here that's going to help us save us some time and some tears, is the symmetry tool here. So it's these two triangles, isosceles triangles back to back. You turn that on and it will show you the symmetry line, the mirror line, sorry, and you can already see the brush mirrored on either side, so it doesn't matter which side you select it. So if obviously we've got this polygon selected, but this one wasn't highlighted, obviously you can guess now. If I click this, it should do it on the other side now. Oh, it's missed it, so obviously it's not completely symmetrical, this object. I think there's a bit of an offset on here. Or if I follow the line through here, yeah, it's mirroring it to this one rather than that one. That's okay. Sometimes you can get away with it if you have a perfectly symmetrical object, but it looks like this square was meant to be here, perhaps. If I click that, does it fill in the... I'll tell you what, if I just put a new... Hang on, let me just do a black mask quickly. Click that again. Yeah, see, it's just filled in here. So that's where it was meant to be, terms of symmetry, but it's not the end of the world. No one's going to notice that. Um, if you want to undo what you did, yeah, you can just do, can you see that slider where it goes from black to white? So white means you want to show something, black means you don't want it to show. So we don't want that side to show. Let's turn off symmetry, and then I can deselect that, and now if I want to select the other one, I select that. There we go. Boom. And now we've got the insides kind of filled in. Cool thing with the symmetry tool though is it's super good for doing, well, any kind of pattern. So if you're doing some kind of really cool like patterns and things, you can get this really nice, you can do some really cool stuff if you do just, I don't know, painting some kind of logo or graffiti, or you want some kind of thing on your model. You've got a nice symmetrical thing. You can even change, if you go into the drop down for the, sometimes it's a bit hidden, you might have to press this arrow. Is it in this arrow? Yeah, there it is. You, next to symmetry, you have, I don't know, it's not telling me what it is, but it's basically the properties for symmetry, and you can change the position of the mirror line to be a crossways. So instead of, it's going to mirror that in that direction, or on the z-axis, which will be in this direction. What's the x-axis? Should be that way. There you go. So you can mirror it in different directions, which is pretty handy. I'm just doing Control Z to undo that. You can even enable planes, so you can actually see the mirror going through it. The line's usually good enough for me. You might not have that option in your version of Substance. Cool one is if you do show manipulator, you can actually shift that mirror line to put it anywhere else that you need it to be. So I can now have the mirror line here to have my symmetry offset for whatever reason I might want that. And to return it back to its 0 point, I think there you go. You can even type it in here. You can either slide it on here, or use the arrow, the manipulator here, to slide it. So if you want to bring it back to the center, you just type 0, and that will be at the 0 point at the center of the model. Another cool one is if you switch from mirror to radial symmetry, you get this little option here, and what that does is if you change this to 360 degrees, and then we'll do a count of 16, what it'll do now, oh, we've got the wrong axis now, but you can kind of see the pattern of what's happening. I think we have to do X. Nope, probably Y. Sometimes you just have to click each one to get what you need. There you go. So now we can do cool patterns like this with very minimal effort. Doing this by hand in Photoshop would probably have taken you half an hour to an hour. And I can continue that pattern going through here and have fun with it and do whatever. I'm just showing you all the tools of Substance Painter so that you can go to town with it as and when. So I'm just going to undo all that. And again, because you're let's imagine you do all these details and you love it, and then someone turns around and says, "Oh, those should be in yellow." Easy. Just go into your material, go to your base material, change your diffuse to blue or yellow, and suddenly you've got a different pattern. A different color. Sorry, not a different pattern. And that's how you can change it. That's why Substance is fucking king. I'll just undo those patterns there. So that's the cool thing with the mirror radial tool, which is here. There you go. You can even show the axis again, so you can kind of see, and you can shift that around so you can change the pattern. It's good for doing like wheels on a vehicle or something like that. You know, if you want to do like the treads or something like this. So yeah, it's kind of fun. And I'm going to turn it off because I don't need it anymore. Right, so what you've learnt now is how to add a material. You've learnt about layer sorting. You've learnt about masks. You've learnt about using a paintbrush, eraser, and the polygon fill tool. and you've also learned about symmetry, so that's plenty. Next thing that we'll go on to would be, what would be a good one? Rolling through my mind would be, you could do, oh yes, detail. That's what we'll do. A detail map. Should we do it like that? Probably. Which I want to pick something that doesn't confuse you too much. Let's say if you scratch the surface of this metal and underneath you've got like the surface of the paint, sorry, and underneath you've got like the base metal of this object. Let's say the base metal is actually let's not get that one. I'll get, if I type metal in, there's loads of in here. Let's say there's a yeah, fuck it. Let's say there's gold underneath here. Oh shit, yeah, I forgot gold looks different in this lighting. Copper will probably do the same. Yeah, it'll do it black on it because of the specular. That's okay. We'll use gold, but I'm gonna have to just, so that we can actually see what we're doing. We're just gonna have to open the gold armor and change the diffuse to like a browny kind of. I don't know, like I'll try and make it somewhat gold. And there we go, so then we can see it. Let's say that's the metal for underneath it. You can kind of see it when you shine it on there. So for this we are actually going to do like dents and things and scratches. Would actually maybe this way would be more confusing. Yeah, that's a bit risky what I was doing there. Okay, I'm gonna do it in a different light. It's still possible to do it that way, but I think it's actually gonna be more confusing. Let's make it easier. So there's this paintbrush icon, which is just simply adding a layer, and this is just a simple blank empty layer that has all the. We should probably open this up so we can actually see. Oh my god, that's finicky. Let's actually see what we're looking at here. We've got all the different texture layers that are all the different texture maps. That's the word. It's a better word. Texture maps that in combination make this layer what it is. We're actually going to turn off diffuse, the color. We're going to turn off specular. We're going to turn off gloss, and we're going to leave height and normal on, because this is actually going to be our, I don't know, details layer. I'm going to say details, but you can call it anything you want. Call it scratches, dents, hooks, whatever you want to call it. Details. And you've got a slider here for the height. And what that does is that this is where we're going to do, you know how I was saying about you don't need to do all the bolts and screws and shit like that. You don't need to model those. We can actually make that effect here. So what this 0 means is that 0 means it's flat. It's flush to the surface of this object. You're not going to see any changes. If I go all the way to this end, where it says -1, that means it's going to be engraved in the object. If it's whatever I'm going to paint, and then if I do +1 on the other end, that means it's going to be embossed. That means it's going to stick out like a name plaque for a memorial or something like that, where you know, writing sticks outside of the metal, or is layered on top or something like that. But for should we do? We'll do on top, because we're going to do some screws. So I put that on +1 with that empty layer. We've got only height and normal up here. Height determines the depth, and normal is the texture map that Arma's going to read, and it's always going to come in this kind of lilac color. That's a normal color for a normal texture. So we've got an alpha. This is how our brush looks like now. This alpha. And if you scroll through here, you can have a bit of fun. I recommend just have a browse through here to see what you have available. You got loads of different patterns and things. You can even create your own pattern and import it into Substance. You know, and there's text, and there's bloody handprints and leaks, and emblems and symbols, and some of these are even adjustable, so you can actually change the size of the pattern and the repetition of the pattern. Some of them have like little sliders that you can fuck around with to change the density of some of these markings, and there's loads of them. There's so many. You probably will be able to get everything you need with what you've got here, but if you don't have that, you can bring your own in, which I can take you through. How are we doing for the recording? It's still going? Wow, well, we're nearly at an hour. Well, we're almost done now anyway. So for what we're going to do, I'm actually going to look for a screw or a bolt kind of thing. So let's go for, yeah, let's go for that one. And as you can see, they all have different like sliders. This one allows you to adjust the plus sign on it. So let's say something like that, for example. And what I can do now, if I, with that alpha selected, I can now click that, and now we've got a bit of an indent, and it looks like as if I've modeled that detail, but with the illusion of the height and normal map working together, which is how it's going to look in Arma, it now looks like as if it's got, I don't know, 100 more polygons of detail there, when in fact it's not. It's driven through the texture. That you've still got the same number of polygons, it's just the texture that gives the effect of having screws and things on the top. And again, I think you can guess what we can do with here. If we scroll to our radial tool that we learned earlier, we can now turn that on, make sure it's at 360, so we got a full ring going around it. And oh shit, and I need to actually center the fucking thing, because otherwise it will be all over the place. Hit enter, there you go. And now, for just a simple left click, now we've got perfect ring of bolts going all around it. And I can change the size of the brush if those are a bit too big. I can use the square brackets to adjust the brush size at any point, which should be next to your enter button or your return button, whatever you want to call it. And now we've got a nice little pattern here, and then if we want to do another row that go in between, we can do this. And then I can change the pattern to, I don't know, if you want to get, oopsie daisy, if you want to go back to your normal brush, for some reason it's called shape. I don't know why it's called shape. That's the best way to, oh fuck, where has it gone? Oh yeah, because I need to put a space, do I? Put a space? Maybe if I just search for it like that. Yeah, there we go. And I can click the, let's do, yeah, that one's quite a fun one. I like doing shape form because then I can do something like this. And now we've got like, I don't know what to call it, some kind of like lip and edge to the plasteel cylinder now. Oops, yeah, I'm getting the menus in the way. It's hard to see when it pops up like that. So annoying. To be honest, I should really just pull away the 2D. I only tend to work on the 3D anyway. I prefer it. Some people just work on the 2D or the 3D, you know, it depends on your preference, and then you can connect them together. And suddenly you've got an object that's looking like it's getting some detail coming in. Sorry, I've not really lined that up there. I should have. I'm losing track of my mouse. Hang on, there we go. There you go. It's a little bit neater now. Cool thing is, if I want to go the other way, don't forget the height. If you bring it to the minus, we can now make it look like as if it's being scratched in. Ah, that's why it's doing that. I forgot to, yeah, I do recommend making sure that your brush, whenever you can, the spacing is as low as possible, which is 5. 5 is the lowest, because the more spacing you have, if I'm left click and hold, it's going to do this. You know, it's going to just do, it's going to put spacing between your brush usage. So if you do 5, you're going to have a nice smooth line going through here. So if we just do that again, and I'm holding to make a straight line, you can see kind of that little dotted line. I'm actually doing, first you have to do like a left click to start your where you're drawing your line from. Hold left shift, and I'm not holding anything, I'm only holding left shift at this point, and it makes this straight line, and this is perfect. So then you can just line up where you need it to connect to the next point, hit left click, and boom, it's got a nice line, and I can release the left shift, and we've got now an engraved thing. So if I rotate the light, you can kind of see the pattern of stuff. So now it makes it look like super detail when it's in reality it's not. You know, and you can do that again here for the. Oops, I have not lined that up properly. Let's do here, and then let's go down. I'm eyeballing it at this point. You know, and it just makes it look like it's got all sorts of cool stuff on it. And you can even do it with, like I say, with text. So if we change the alpha brush to, if I type in the word font, there's a whole bunch of fonts and patterns. So let's do. You probably won't have as much selection as me. You'll probably have only like 5 choices on your one, unless the version you get from your friend is quite a recent one. So you can do. Let's say I like the look of this one, and then I can type in the text. I love toast, something like that. Oh, better turn off the brush, the mirror, the symmetry tool, and then I'm going to increase the brush size so I can actually see the text. There you go, and thankfully it fits inside the the brush. But sometimes if I write too much, you know, and the text is too long. Oh, it's fitting it properly. I never used to do that. I used to break it up, but sometimes you just have to hit like, you know, the enter key just to stack it like that, or sometimes if it cuts off the edge of it, I think you have to change. Is it the size of the brush or the size of the object? Viewpoint, texture, font size. Oh, and you can change the alignment. There's a few new options on here than what you used to have. Oh, there you go. Line spacing, character spacing. So I can now make it really spaced out, which is a bit overkill. So let me just get rid of this text so we can actually read what's going on here. But effectively, now I can just click it, and now it's pasted the text over the top, and because it's engraved, it's given it some depth, so it looks like as if it's etched into the model now. You know, and if you really want to go to town with it, and you want to go, okay, well, I want it to. I just pressed the paintbrush icon, and it's remembered all the settings of the layer underneath. It's got everything set up already. Where is it? I've already lost track of it. Oh, there it is, diffuse. Let's put. Should we do specular? No, I'll leave specular. Let's say I want your text in bright yellow. Seems to be yellow seems to be the theme of this evening. You now have got it engraved with a bit of yellow inside it. So I don't know if you want to have something glow or whatever. There is a texture thing called emissive, down here, which actually will make it physically glow in the dark. So you can see here how that glows even if the shadow is highlighted over it. But Armor 3 doesn't do emissive textures like this. It's not that advanced, so there's no point to the emissive texture, so you may as well turn it off. But at least you can somewhat simulate it, and then in the RV map we can make it glow in the dark if we want to. But yes, so that's what we've gone through. Adding a layer in with a bit of height and normal to indent or protrude. I tend to just do -1 and +1. I don't go for the in-between ones because it's just too subtle. I prefer to go for the extreme ends, but that's just a personal preference because it makes it very clear and obvious, the details, so it's not too subtle. And you've learnt to, and we've also gone through changing your alpha brush for when you're using your brush to type in font. And you can change the position of the font and the alignment and the color and doing whatever you want. So there's that. And I think what we can do next is What's another handy thing to know about? Uh, let's do an import of, I don't know, a texture. So let's say if I type in logo, and you like, oh, I like the design of the Lego logo. I'm just copying it from Google by right clicking, copy image, and then if you haven't got Photoshop, just open Photopea, and then do new project. Make sure, like I said earlier, the size is a square texture. That's a good size, or I like to go a little bit smaller because there's no point making it too big. 512 by 512. Control V to paste it, and I'm going to just shrink the Lego logo so it just reaches the edges. Not going to be too precise. I'm going to right click on the layers on that, flatten it, and we're going to just do a file and export as a PNG and call it Lego logo. There we go. And then we go into, Substance Painter, and in your libraries area where your assets are, press the plus icon. Lets you add resources. Press that button. Navigate to wherever you saved your image, which is here. In my case, it's in my downloads. Then from undefined, I want you to click texture because we're using the color from it. And yes, we're doing it to this, importing it to this project. Import, and there's the Lego logo. And what we can do, you can either we can just do like a new layer. Let's do like just type shape in to make sure that the brush is square to fit the square logo. Otherwise, we're going to have a very strange cutoff. And I'm going to make, playing with the hardness, changes the softness of the image, to the square. To see, that's a soft edge. This is a hard edge. That's the difference. So sometimes you want a soft or a hard edge to your material. And in this case, we're actually going to do, we're going to drag and drop the Lego logo into the color area, into the box. And now we've got the Lego logo indented onto the object like that. So that's how you can do your like custom designs and patterns and things that you can bring in. If you like the pattern of something, so if I do alpha pattern, it's like you can make your own ones up or whatever. But there's alpha texture. I should probably be more specific. Okay, let's say for some crazy ass reason, I wanted to have this kind of woven. Oops, shit! Didn't mean to do that. Woven, I don't know, kind of patterned material. I'm just importing it into my square texture here, flattening it, and doing file, export as, and this time we'll call it, I don't know, alpha pattern or something. Doesn't really matter what you call it, it's just something that makes sense to you. You can call it Jeremy's cookbook for all you want. Press the plus icon again, and there's your, and remember that alpha textures are always black and white, so you'll see in a minute how this is going to work. So I'll click that, and then this time we're going to do alpha, and then we're going to do imports, and now we've got an alpha pattern that we can use on our brush. So if we return to, let's make it like blue, this layer that we had, and I'm going to change the alpha to be this. Boop. Suddenly, we've now got this pattern that we can paint on the surface now. How cool is that? And it looks like it's modeled in, but we've not done that. It's just the texture giving off that illusion. Probably makes more sense if it sticks out, but there you go. So if you've got like a, I don't know, a basket of like a woven wooden basket or whatever, that these tribal people do, you might want to do that. That could be one way of doing it. There's another way where we can cover the whole object in that pattern. I think if I do it as a, think if I think I can search for that alpha. Oh, okay, it didn't like that, did it? Alpha. Oh, there it is. Found it. There you go. Did it do that right? And then, so I'm just at this point. I'm just playing about. I don't expect you to remember this. There we go. And then I'm gonna just turn off these layers and the emissive. Make it indent out. Interesting how it's done like a white pattern there. But yeah, click fill, and then you can change things like how it's projected. Is it projected in a cylindrical fashion, which this plasteel cylinder is cylindrical, so we probably want it to fit like that. I was just pulling out just to show you the shape of the projection. But you can do spherical, so it looks like a sphere. So if you've got like a ball that you want to wrap your texture around, I usually do triplanar, which means it projects it from every direction. I think for our example, because we do have a perfect cylinder, we could probably get away with doing it like that. And then if we change the tiling to, I don't know, any number, we can do 10. Oh, that's probably a little bit too dense. Oh no, it's actually not too bad. Not too bad. Could be worse. Let's try 5. Okay, that's a little bit better. And now we've got the plasteel container now looks like a woven basket. You know, with that minimal effort. And if we want to remove the top half of it, what we can do, if I create a folder, drag that into the folder, but then put a black mask on the folder itself, we can now say, okay, I only want the basket texture to apply on these faces. And the good news is, unlike Blender, you know when I was saying you have to go around to select the other side, it actually does detect the back when you do this. And then I'll just go to black to tell it not to show, and do that. So now we've got a nice, relatively nice kind of, I don't know what to call it, woven basket kind of pattern look to it. So that's fun. So I did rush through that a little bit, but it's kind of a combination of everything that we've learnt thus far. And I do recommend as you go along to label everything. So every layer you make, just type in what it is, because some of your models, if you're doing a character armor or if you're doing a vehicle in particular, you're going to have probably a good amount of these layers and materials for like the rubber of the wheels, the light fixtures, the metal, the scratched gun, the ammo casing color, the plastic seating, the leather. You know, you'll have so many different materials at that point. It'll be hard to work out what's what. So best to label it and call it whatever the fuck you want to call it. That makes sense to you. And I think that's for the mainline stuff, for everything you possibly need to know about texturing, which will get you so far. Well, get you everything you need, to be honest, is learnt now. You've got everything. So the last thing is a bonus thing that we can do, and an old version of Substance does have it, but it's a little bit well, it's performance heavy on both fronts, but what we're going to do now is what used to be called a particle brush is now called a physical brush. It's a super damn cool tool. So I'm actually going to do this. I'm going to quickly do like some kind of red, and they're going to do, I don't fucking know, let's do, yeah, let's do that. And then do, should we do, yeah, we'll do this, maximize the gloss, leave it on 0, don't need emissive. To be honest, I could probably turn these off, it's just a waste. And I'm going to add a black mask to this layer, and you're going to see what this particle brush is going to do for us now. So if I have a look in the settings and I do emitter, we're going to do single, and then we're going to do leak. I'm going to make this very small, and I'm going to make, do I have the dots? Is the dots available for me? There it is. There you go. And then we're going to do the spacing. No, there's no spacing on here. I never remember. Do I have to? Ah, no, I have to make it like this. So you can kind of guess what's going to happen now. It's going to paint. It's going to put paint on here, like as if it's real life now, and it's going to drip. Use physics to drip the paint along an edge like that. So if you want to do some natural spread of things, so if I want the drip to go further, I think I need to add more gravity or something to it. I can never remember. Is it in the leak settings? I can't remember what I've used it in a long time. Size jitter, size, hardness, dots. Oh, it's not really done. You can make those drips like really long to like reach the bottom, but you can kind of see what's happening here. You can see all the dots that are being drawn, and each particle has a lifespan. So it says, okay, I want each dot to last 2 seconds and then disappear, and that's what's happening there. So that's a super powerful tool, and you can do blood stains on it, or you can do. There's loads of different patterns in here. There's some really weird ones. There's veins is a weird one, but kind of cool. I'm just pressing it once. I just tapped it once, and it did that. I can just do it a couple of times. This is quite performance draining, so just make sure you don't have multiple applications open. It will probably slow down your PC a little bit. But yeah, very, very powerful. So I'm just going to undo all that. There's some other ones. I think, is it laser? There you go. Laser gives you like blast marks. So, and it's actually dependent on your camera angle. So if I look spot on here, it'll be a nice spread. If I look at an angle here, a splayed angle, like as if I'm shooting it from this angle, it will blast in the direction of which I'm aiming my camera, which is pretty cool. And you can change the speed, so you can do like if it's a huge impact, so you can do fucking bullet holes or marks or damages. It'd be good for tank textures, I imagine. Glass is quite cool. That's quite a cool pattern on that one. You press that and it does like a bullet hole in glass. What's this one? Oh, that's a different one. Or is it the same one? Oh, they've just got two different bullet hole ones for some reason. Okay, fair enough. I thought one would be enough, but they thought having two would be handy. Fracture's quite cool. I love Fracture because you just press this and it just randomly, so it's perfect for like glass and things like that, like cracked glass or frost or something like that, or maybe some energy cell with some glass and it's got like some fractures, and what's really cool is that it will detect when it collides in on itself. So you can see it saw that there was another line and it stopped itself before. It didn't like continue into infinity. It knows to be self-contained within these pockets, which is fucking smart as hell. Super powerful. I mean, I could literally hold my mouse and do this, but that gets a bit of a performance drain on that. There's sandstorm, there's burn. I think that just generally, I think if you just do that, it's like you're burning parts of it or whatever. What's this one? Algae? I don't know what this is. See, it's really slowing my PC down. Oh, that's probably why. That's a lot of dots. Holy shit. I have to give my computer a second to catch up now. Oh, maybe it's done it. And there's rust. Oh yeah, there you go. It just puts like random rust from that point, and it just streaks it everywhere. There's where's the rust drop? Is it rust drop I'm thinking of? No, it's not rust drop. No, where is it? Where's the one that's like a sandstorm, which is really cool? Oh, lightning. That's a new one. What does that do? Oh, we're about done now anyway. Oh, okay. Oh, that's kind of cool. Alright, might find some use for that. Where's the sandstorm one, which is kind of cool? Is it this one? I don't know. There was a sandstorm one. It seems to have gone. Anyways, so that's the particle brush. So you can have some freaking fun with that. I'm going to delete that layer. But yeah, so if you're coloring that in, just color by poly and go with different things. And oops, shit, I forgot to put that on white so we can actually color stuff. We are actually losing a bit of the dirt from underneath, so what I tend to do, which is kind of handy, I actually go grab the smart material from here, the one I love, the painted. Shall we use? Yeah, we'll use that one. And what I do, sometimes there's a certain layer in there that you can just like, and you go, oh, I love that layer within that material. Just delete all the shit around it. I'm going to pull the rust out of it, delete that material, and now I'm left with the rust. I can now just use this rust layer on top for anything that I want now. And again, because it's priority order, I want to make sure that the rust is sitting in the correct location, because of course if it's below the grey, you won't see the rust on the grey patch anymore. So you need to make sure, oh shit, I need to put the priority higher. Boom, and now suddenly we can see all the rust, or whatever this pattern is, sitting over the top. So yeah, that was quite a lot of random stuff being thrown at you, but now that's everything I know as a crash course on outer texture. The last part, I guess, after you're happy with your texture, is you just simply go into File, Export Textures. I'm probably going to have to help find my settings for this, but in the drop down there will be an option. There you go, Armor 3 Super Spec Gloss, and it will output the right textures. So we're going to put this into, I'll put it in my downloads area, and I'll make it. We've been working at 2K at high resolution, but remember when I said at the start we actually want it to be about 1K, or probably 512 even, because these things are going to be quite numerous. So it will compress the texture size down from 2K to 4 times less, smaller. And I think that's about it. Then you just hit export, does its thing, and then you can go to press open output directory to see where it is. And these are the textures that it spits out. This is Armor 3 specific textures. So this is I think the AS stands for ambient shadow. Don't know why it's in pink, it's just that's the choice for the channel. This is normal high quality, NOHQ. Oh shit, where are the other ones gone? That's going the other way. SMDI, which I think stands for specular metal depth something indicator, something like that. And then CO is of course color. And in combination of all 4 of these is what's going to make our model in Armor look like that. To be honest, the representation will probably be a little bit more bland. It will look like this, but the Substance has a way of making things look amazing. So it'll be, because how things are rendered in Armor are going to be different from how it's rendered in Substance Painter's engine, if you like. This is what we're kind of looking at. It's going to have look slightly different. Oh, well, that was a good little session. I'm glad I kept my promise to you. After all this time, I've got the recording done, so you can now watch it in slow time. Actually, before I end the recording, do you have any questions? Probably not, because I did a bit of information dump on you.
The images. So let's say I were to import an image or some kind of logo. Am I able to height map that image to ingrain it into the texture?
Yeah. So give me an image example. What do you have in mind?
So
like a
I
logo
don't know,
for the
say
company or something.
like a company logo, or say I put a skull on something, right? Or like a pirate logo or something.
Pirate logo. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Pirate logo. Right. This is how I would approach that. Let's say we're happy with this one, classical one there. I'll just get that from Google or wherever. We're probably, should we do it as a, yeah, yeah, we can do it like this. Okay, so what we're going to do, you'd open up Photopea on a new project. Same thing again as we said earlier, 512. Because it'll be good enough resolution for that. Paste, Control V to paste what you've copied. I'm going to delete the background layer. This is an important bit, and I'm going to make a new layer that's empty, put the empty layer underneath that, and this time round we're going to do select, color range, white, which means I'm selecting all the white of this image. Hit OK. Now I can smash the delete button. It's going to delete all the white and make this a transparent image now, which is what we want. And I think I can delete that layer now. Yeah, I can. And let's say it's, I don't know, let's say the skull's blue for whatever reason. You know, it's some kind of custom logo. And now we've got a PNG image with a skull and fuck. Skull and fuck. Oh dear, that's not a combination I want to say. Skull and crossbone. Skull and crossbones. Time is it? Oh shit, yeah, it'll be time for bed soon. And I've saved that, and it's got a transparent background already. So in substance here, let's say we want to put the logo in the center of this thing here. I am going to do it. There's two different ways to do it, but we're going to do it the way I'm going to show you how to do it is a bit, you have more control over it. It's one I recommend more than just slapping it on. So we'll do it this way. We'll do, yeah, I'm just thinking it through. Paint bucket icon to add a fill layer in. We're going to press the plus icon in the assets, add the resource, add the skull and crossbones. We're going to add this as a texture. It's already importing into the project. Then we're going to do drag and drop this texture into the diffuse slot, and now we have it here as a pattern, and I'm going to change that to triplanar so that it kind of sits directly above properly. Actually, can you do planar? Oh, that might be even better actually. Planar would be better. And then can we change the planar? We can change the planar direction, can we? I always forget this little bit. Rotation, offset, tiling, 3D projection. I don't think it will let us do it. Oh no, it does. It's just, oh okay, it's just, is it side on? Oh, it's side on. Okay, alright, I'll just have to press the rotate tool and rotate it to be above. There we go. That's why it was doing that. Oh, it was really weird. Just use the scale tool and try and fit it in. Oh wow, that's super interesting. When it fades, you just have to raise it up a little bit so that it gets seen again. And I'm gonna scale it down a little bit. There you go. I'm not worried about the tiled thing just yet, because I'm going to add a black mask, and I'm going to say paint the brush. Oh shit, I don't want a particle brush, I want a normal brush please, thank you. The hard edge, make it to fit this circle here. Pop, there you go. Oh shit, I've overran on the edges a little bit. No, I can still see the other one coming through. There you go, that's about right. Yeah, there we go. Now we've just got that showing. Now to make it embossed, we just simply scroll down to where that layer, whatever we call it, scully, and then change the height to this. Oh, it's done it as a circular thing. Ah, okay, so doing it like this will make it circular. Oh, that's irritating. Does it actually? Oh, fuck, okay. you could. Okay, maybe we'll have to do it as a paint layer. We'll do it as okay, that result didn't come out the way I expected. That's unfortunate. Shit. How would I approach this now? I could do it like this. So now it has transparency, and if it's minus, of course it's going to do that on the edge of the brush. So now, okay, so it looks like I have to make an alpha of this, which needs to be white. So yeah, on top of the colored one, you're going to have to make a white one. So if you just go into levels in your Photopea and just move that slide, the black to the white end, it makes the whole thing white. This will be our alpha texture. This is a little bit awkward, but it's okay. It will help make the indent perfectly around the skull and the blades and stuff like that. Skull alpha or something I'll call it, so I know what it is. Go back to substance. Oh, imports skull alpha. Change that as an alpha on that one. So now I've still got the coloured one, but this time around I'm going to drop the alpha into the brush, which should be somewhere. Where are you? There you are. Drop that into here, which hopefully should be the same size. There you go. There we are. So now we've got that sticking out, or if we want the other way, if we want it to be, yeah, so that's sticking out. Wow, it looks opposite. Well, whatever works for you, whether you want to put it on plus or minus one, but there you go. Now it looks like as if it's ingrained with the color. If you don't want the color and you just want something bland, like, I don't know, black or something, then that's totally fine as well. So that's how you would do that. I hope that kind of makes sense, and you can kind of see how the scratches and the dirt kind of gets overlaid on top, which is quite handy. Oh, if you want to rotate your brush, I forgot to say, oops. Oh shit, I always forget which one is it? Is it? Ah, there you go. Holding left control and left click. I'm holding both buttons, and I can rotate the logo by moving. I'm actually doing left control, left click, and I'm moving my mouse up and down to do this. So that's how it's so you can rotate the pattern. So we can now have, you know, a nice little embossed thing. And if we again turn on the symmetry, which is already set up correctly, perfect. Now get all these scully bone patterns, which is freaking awesome. Now, in Photoshop, if you didn't have all these tools, imagine having to do this. In the old days, you'd have to rotate the tool, do that, rotate it, click that, rotate it again, click the next one, and so on until you'd have a chain going around there. That's why Substance is just fucking awesome. And once I went Substance, I never went back to the old way of doing shit. But there you are. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm going to save this out, and I'm going to send it to you so you can actually see how the layers, how I've made them, how they work, so you can use them for yourself. Oh, it's not too big. I could probably transfer this to you. 44 meg, that's not too big. What's the name? It is Plastic Container, so let me get it to you on a DM. Message, and then do, oops, I'll give you everything. I'll give you this, and this, so you can have the pattern of the skull and crossbones if you want, if you need it for anything. Yeah, I don't think you'll need anything else in here. But there you go. So I'm sorry if that was a bit of an information dump, but yeah, before I end it, is there anything else? Does that sound good to you?
No, I've got no other questions. Everything sounds good.
Nice. I'm gonna go rest my voice now. Whew, and get something to drink. But yeah, I'm so happy that I could